Good morning guys. Today I've decided that I'll just quickly do a little YouTube video on how to change the spark plugs on your car. This applies to any vehicle, not just the Focus ST that I run. So yeah, just going to make it really quick and simple. It's a really simple thing to do. Most vehicles require to change it after about 50,000 miles or up to 50,000 miles. Mine is mapped, so usually it's a little bit sooner than that. Most of the Focus guys that are running their cars mapped replace their spark plugs every year as a part of their service. A little bit overkill, really, you don't need to, but every couple of years or every sort of 20,000 miles it's worth doing. Mine have been on now for about 45,000 miles and I completely spaced and completely ignored that. It's not the worst thing in the world because Irridium spark plugs, which is what you'd want in your Focus ST or performance vehicles, do last well and do last a while, and they won't really cause that much issue. But if you do notice that you have a lumpy idle or issues starting or anything like that, one of the first things that you should really do is change the spark plugs and just have a look at the spark plugs to double check that everything is up to date with that. Obviously there might be other issues, why a car might be idling bad, but usually the most common one is a MAF sensor or spark plug. So we're going to change the spark plugs. I've ordered some NGK Irridiums. Again, most cars these days that are performance cars tend to use Irridium spark plugs. You won't put copper spark plugs in it because they just deteriorate and rot. Even most up-to-date cars at the minute will probably have Irridium spark plugs in there anyway. The brand I've gone for is NGK, and these are actually pre-gapped to 0.28, I believe. I will clarify that when I look at the spark plugs in the car. Pre-gapped from Motorsports Developments, which is also called as MSD, and they do a lot of mapping stuff for the Focus ST and Focus RS platforms. Right, so obviously before you go ahead, you need to make sure that you've opened up your bonnet, you've got your spark plugs. Now, the gap on these is 0.28, so we are okay. The normal standard ones come gapped at 0.32, I think, 0.032. But they're the ones that I've got in there at the minute. Still NGK Irridium, but these ones are specially pre-gapped for modified Focus STs, which I didn't have before, so we shall see. So yeah, so obviously you want to make sure that you've got your bonnet open, the car's cooled down. You don't want to do this in a hot vehicle. You want to make sure that when you do take the spark plugs out and go anywhere near the coil packs and the spark plugs, that you don't go anywhere near the battery. The battery can stay connected, it's not a problem, but you do want to make sure that if there's any charge or anything like that, that you're not going to get anywhere, no shock from the battery. So what we need to do is proceed to disconnect each one of these one by one, and then we're going to undo the screw holes, the bolts on each one, pull each coil pack out, and then the spark plugs will be down inside. Make sure that you have a socket that's big enough that can house a spark plug within it, so you can unscrew it. And then what I've done, most companies or most people tend to use a rubber hose. I tend to use a magnet pull just to pull it out, which is obviously extendable. And then also when I put the new one in, I just gently drop it down, and then I use that to screw it back all into place. So yeah, we'll see how we get on. Right, so that's the one that's come out. They all pretty much look like that. As you can see, it's perfectly fine, but it's definitely frazzled a little bit at the top, but it'll still do the job. But that is with about 50,000 miles on. This is obviously the brand new one, and the gapping, you can see the gap at the top is a lot narrower, or marginally narrower, sorry, on this one as opposed to the old one. And that is because these ones are the MSD .028 gaps for modified cars with a little bit more power, like my Focus. Right, they are all in, not all connected yet or anything, but all the plugs are in. Just make sure that when you tighten it, you don't tighten it too far to strip, because you might strip the actual bolts. When I was taking them out, they were too tight. I put them on too tight last time, so hand tight, get as far as you can with the leverage, give it a bit of them. If it don't turn after that, you're all good. So now we put them all in. I had to take the screw off there, or nut off there, bolt off there, to allow the movement so I could get into this one here, otherwise there'd be no chance doing it. So I pushed that as far as I could. It's on a flexi at the back anyway, on the rubber elbow near the turbo, so we're all good. Right, now that they're all in, I'm just going to show you with this last one here. What we do is just plug it in. As I was saying earlier, the red bit needs to be tightly against the black, so we just slide it on like that. And obviously to take it out, you just get the screwdriver between the black piece and the red piece and just push it out. That's the way that this comes out. So now they're all in, I need to make sure the intake's back into place as it was. Make sure that these are all hand tight as well. That one's a pain in the ass to get to, but you don't need to take your intake off if you've got an intake like mine to get to that. If you do have to take it off, and obviously you have to go all the way back down to the turbo, but you can just push it aside as far as you can, and then it'll be in the situation here where it's okay. So yeah, they're all been tightened. Put that on there like that, so everything's back to how it was. You don't have to label them 1, 2, 3, 4, but I did because I just think it's easier and safer, just so I don't muddle them up. But yeah, that's it. Right, so as you can see, I have done the spark plugs, started the car, done a quick little obligatory oil check to make sure that obviously oil's good, or the oil level's good. It does need changing in the next 3-4 months, so I'll get that sorted. Yeah, the only issue that I really ran into is that there's a little cap on there. I've just put 2 cable ties on there just to hold it in place. That would basically be like a spacer, but I seem to have stripped the bottom 2 lines, threads, on this, so it won't engage until I put this a bit lower than the spacer allows. Obviously, that's meaning that I'm going to have to get the bolt cut down a little bit by about half, so it sits nice and snug. It's not a problem, but it's just a bit annoying realistically. But yeah, so that's the car. It's been done. The car nice and happy. Don't pay attention to my dirty interior. It's been idling now for about 5 minutes, 750 RPM, not a single movement, which is what we like to see. I've got to be honest, I don't think that there's any particular difference with the idling before and now, but I'm pretty sure I'll notice it with miles per gallon and the way that it drives. Obviously the last ones were on for about 50,000 miles. These ones are fresh new. I've never had the .028 pre-gap ones from MSD, the one-step colder plugs or whatever they call it. So we shall see how it goes. Potentially if it's worth updating with anything significant enough, I will put it down into the comments below and highlight it so anybody that watches the video can basically see that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I put some more videos out soon. I just do it as and whenever I've got spare time to do it. So I hope this helps somebody out there. There's plenty of other tutorial videos, but yeah, take care, peace out.